Okay, well, I'm calling this my deep thoughts about Dalle-Mini. Um, this shouldn't take long because I really only have like maybe two thoughts about Dalle-Mini, having played around with it for the last week or so at work, I might add. Um, anyway, the first idea I have is that after playing with this, the first thing that occurred to me after a while was that Dalle-Minis, it's obviously pretty amateur compared to the real thing, the Dolly, but it is possible to get some fairly decent images out of it. The main thing is that you kind of have to keep it simple. This first image, this is a this the it's a chicken made of stainless steel. Um, that turned out pretty well. I mean, obviously not all these are any good, but some of these are quite good. Um, and as I go through these, you'll see more examples of this kind of thing. A dragon made of cheese. Well, that's getting a little more complicated, but there's some good looking stuff here, I think. Um, what else can I say about this? Well, let me just move along here. Um, Mark Twain carved in marble. That produced a pretty good image right there, I would say. Uh, again, if I keep these things simple, they tend to turn out actually looking fairly impressive. Unlike the attempts I would make where I would say, well, show me the Eiffel Tower, but with neon lights all over it. Actually, that'd probably be a good thing to try. These things where you try outlandish things like show me a Martian screwing an elephant. That's not going to work. It's too complicated. It doesn't know what to do with it. But you do simple things. Yeah, this is Jimi Hendrix and neon light. That's pretty obvious. That's one weakness Dalle-Mini does have is the faces. It really has trouble with faces, but that's not too bad. Um, Nazi clowns. Well, that's a natural experiment. Again, it tends to screw up the faces, but some of these look fairly sinister, I'd say. Um, a duck made out of bacon. Well, again, it's kind of pushing the envelope, but it doesn't do too bad. Some of these are actually quite good. Again, I'm trying to find the border, between really simple and something that it's just gonna fumble with. A human skull made out of obsidian. I that It did really good on this. I think these are actually nice images. Now these are not these images are not correct. They're not anatomically correct. They're not perfect, but they look really good to me. I think there's artistic value in this junk, this stuff that's made by a machine, right? A butterfly made out of stained glass. Now these are nice. That's really nice. I could see somebody putting that into a window. That would work. It's a perfectly good piece of art there. I think. Penguin on the moon. Again, kind of pushing what is capable of dealing with, but it comes up with a couple of decent images. That one's very nice, I think. Um, Spock having an acid trip. Great. Okay. Well, again, it doesn't do the faces perfectly. Spock, for some reason, it seems to have less trouble with than some other people. It does manage to make one or two good images of him, and I think it's notable that when Spock is on acid, he looks exactly the same as he does any other time. Um, a box turtle made of green glass. This one turned out really well. I like this one. I could see using that as a desk ornament. That would work out really well. A stapler made out of cut lead crystal. Okay, well, it did kind of struggle a little bit with the form and functionality of a stapler, but I could see some of this. Um, I did say I had two ideas about Dolly. Well, the other idea I had was that, and I'm sure this is something that's obvious to if there's anyone, any actual graphic artists, that have fooled around with this, and I'm sure there's a lot of them. I'm sure it must have occurred to them by this time, but I remember when I first started hearing about Dalle-Mini, uh, probably one of the first things I thought, the first things I heard other people saying about it was, well, this is an indication that maybe computers could put graphic artists out of work, and having played around with it a week and a half, not being a graphic artist, knowing nothing about art, I've kind of decided, you know what? No, actually, this is probably just another tool that graphic artists would use because I could see a graphic artist, even with the dumbed down version of Dolly that Dalle-Mini is, I could see a graphic artist being able to use these images as starting points or as a library or as a source of material for what they produce. You know, I mean that's a perfectly good goldfish in a bowl right there. Um, a goblin in a tuxedo. This one I like. This is really nice. That's really nice. There's some really nice cartoon images here. You know, they don't all turn out, but you know that's why they give you 9 of them. An iPhone drawn by Salvador Dali. Okay, well, I'm not sure. It doesn't. I know what Salvador Dali's famous paintings look like. These look a little simpler than that, but I guess they kind of have they look good. I think they look good. They have uh, the Necronomicon centerfold. I was hoping for something a little more sexual out of this, but I guess this counts as sexual where the Necronomicon is concerned. The Kitten Wizard. Okay, well that's kind of silly, but it actually did a pretty good job, I guess. I mean, it's not the most handsome-looking kitten you ever saw, but he is wearing a wizard's hat here at a couple places, and he's got a staff there, so that's appropriate. Balloon Dog, again, trying to keep it simple, and you know you can see, even the simple stuff it screws it up once in a while, but it comes out with some, absolutely regulation balloon dogs here for sure. Um, Tony the Tiger goes insane. Well, yeah, again, this is again kind of. I'd love to be able to use the real Dolly and see what it would make of some of this junk. But again, there's some decent cartoon images here. I think that kind of get it seems to communicate the idea. I think this one I love. This one's really nice. Chrome plated butterfly. Look at that. That is gorgeous. I love that. Um, this one kind of impressed me quite a bit. I just typed in powered armor, and what do you know? There you go. That's powered armor. I mean, these are not super detailed, but yeah, I could definitely see some. I could definitely see somebody with actual graphic arts ability using something like that as a starting point. Although, yeah, they're not maybe not the greatest looking pieces of powered armor I've ever seen, but they're what you think of. It kind of makes me think that what Dolly is kind of doing is the same thing that ufologists do when they make up their UFO stories. Is they're basically using UFO stories from the past as the starting point, and they're producing their own spin on these things, and that's kind of what Dolly does too. It just uses whatever library images it has access to, which is maybe all of them. I don't know, and it just produces whatever that mass has in it already. Or a cat robot made out of anodized aluminum. Yeah, again, you can see it. It tends to screw up in weird ways here and there, but some of these are very nice. I was really impressed that with the ability of with its ability to interpret text. I mean, it knows what anodized aluminum is. It knows what stainless steel is. You can throw words in here, a surprising number of them, and this thing knows what you're talking about. Yeah, you've seen examples on the internet. Trail cam. It knows what sepia photographs are. It knows what daguerreotypes are. You can yeah, it's kind of interesting to just say, well, let me try this word and see if it figures it out. And more often than not, yeah, it does. Oh well, I kind of spent quite a bit of time trying to get Spock to throw a middle finger. This turned out to be a little bit beyond Dalle-Mini's abilities. I mean, it does a pretty good job on Spock, but the fingers, the hands, yeah, hands are just beyond this thing. It just has no clue how to do hands at all. Um, yeah, you see, I mean, Spock doesn't look too bad. I'm sitting here and I typed in the word schematic there to see if that made a difference. It seems to have some idea of what schematic means. It must know something about the word schematic that I don't know because that's not really what I had in mind. But again, it's doing a pretty decent job on Spock, but the hand is just not there. He's got 4 hands there for some reason. Um, Still trying. I really spent a lot of time trying to get this picture because I really wanted to get a picture of Spock giving the middle finger, and he just won't do it. Um, that one, nah, that's about as close as it gets. This one I said, show me Mr. Spock, throwing the finger drawn by Mobius, and it made some kind of an attempt. It doesn't really look like Mobius, but you know, it tried to interpret it some kind of way. Um, that's just a raised finger from Mr. Spock again, and yeah, really struggling with the hands. You can see how much trouble it has with hands right there. Weirdly, a lot of times when I tell it to show me a middle finger, it's kind of weird, but it's not unusual for it to draw a picture of a middle finger that looks pretty much like a dick. There's one. There, you know, maybe I'm just fixating on that. I don't know. Yeah, again, you know, that's not too bad, but it looks like somebody's throwing him the finger, so that's not quite right. Um, does a pretty good job on his face sometimes, but the finger, yeah, we're not getting. The finger, it's. I don't know what it is about hands, but you know, you can see I spent a lot of time trying to get this. This is probably the best of the bunch, I think, right there. And this is just, I just said, show me a cartoon image of Spock throwing a finger, and that's probably the best I got. But it totally screwed up his little insignia there, didn't it? Um, well, anyway, yeah, again, yeah. The two ideas I have are keep it simple. Here's a chicken made of anodized aluminum. That's nice. I know it says hammer Harambe, but yeah, that's a chicken. That's not Harambe. I did actually do one of Harambe, but you know what? It drew a gorilla. You know what do you know? It just drew a gorilla. That's all it would do. Um, Elmo having an acid trip. I did quite a few of Elmo. Um, and I've only got one of them here because it turns out that when I tell it to draw Elmo, it always shows me Elmo. That's it. You know, Elmo is just like this pretty simple image, and no matter what I tell it to do with Elmo, you just get Elmo. That's it. You know, here Elmo is just having an acid trip. Here, you know, there's three of Elmo there. There's Elmo having an acid trip. Here's Elmo with weird pieces of Elmo floating around. Elmo with his hallucination. It's just Elmo. You know. Anything you do with Elmo, it's just Elmo. There's two Elmos there. Well, you know, but it doesn't matter if you tell him to. It doesn't matter if you mention acid or not. You're going to get Elmo with three legs and Elmo staring at himself, and you know, it's all Elmo. Okay, well, yeah, I can't help getting political too. This is Trump with flaming pentagram. So this didn't turn out quite the way I thought it was going to, but it's not bad. I don't know why he's kind of cartooned up here, but it works. I mean, that's kind of what I imagine. Um, I kind of after I did that, I decided, well, you know, I don't want to be political. Let's do Hello Kitty and a satanic ritual, and well, that's all right, but it seems kind of out of character for Hello Kitty. I'm not sure. Um, well, I couldn't stop myself. I had to go back and show Trump on a flaming cross. That's again not really what I imagined, but you know, these are workable compositions, I would say. Donald Trump in clown makeup. This one turned out quite well, I think. Donald Trump smoking crack. He seems to have some trouble getting it into his mouth. He wants to stick it up his nose. He wants to blow the smoke out his ear. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. Steve Bannon in clown makeup. Very natural looking, I would say. And at that point, I decided, well, I have to be fair, so let's put Nancy Pelosi in clown makeup. Well, yeah, okay, that's my attempt at fair-mindedness, but I have to say, you know, to be completely fair and reasonable and objective, it really doesn't look right on her. It looks much more natural on Trump and Bannon, I would say. And finally, yeah, the specialist snowflake. Again, a very simple description, and it gives me perfectly nice, beautiful little images here, you know. And yeah, that's about all I got to say about Dalle-Mini. You know, I think ultimately it's just one more. It's probably a tool that artists would be able to use. You know, probably not Dalle-Mini itself. You know, probably. I'm sure an actual artist would want something more sophisticated than this. You know, like I don't know, like the actual Dolly. You know, if they and that's probably what this thing is good for. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure that's not an insight that I'm the first to come out there with. I'm sure lots of artists have been playing around with this junk and have figured this out before me, but I just wanted to show off these images and talk about what I thought about Dalle-Mini. So yeah, thanks for listening. Have a good day.